Welcome back, everybody. It is stage 21, the final stage of the 2025 Tour de France. This is the Running It Back Network's YouTube channel's coverage of every single stage. And we're down to our last day, our final stage. It's like the last day of school. It's like graduation day. It's the final of the finals. Oh my God, it's here. Welcome to the channel, everybody. If you've listened to every single stage, I applaud you. If you're a new listener, give it a subscribe, give it a like. My channel grows little by little. And we gained a few subscribers and viewers through this tour, so I thank you for that. This is my channel. I am your host, Patrick Ramirez. I am a stand-up comedian. I am a lifelong cyclist, and I am a huge cycling fan. And what better way to talk about my favorite race of the year other than bring it to you, the people, on my YouTube channel. So here we are. It's the final stage. It's an exciting Sunday. We made it. The riders made it through all 3 weeks of the tour, but also us, the viewer, too. We made it through all 3 weeks. We followed every storyline. We followed every stage. We dare to dream of a tour that one day our children can be proud of. All right, well, I don't know about that, but we're here at the end of the stage. This is the YouTube channel. This is Running It Back. We're sponsored by Baker Tilly. Not really. We have no sponsors. So here we are, stage 21. We're going to do just like we do every single stage. And man, there was a lot to talk about today. But stage 21, the final stage of the tour, was won by Wout van Aert. It was 132 kilometers. It was labeled as flat, although it had 3 categorized climbs at the end of it. Some Cat 4 cobbled climbs that I would not label as flat this stage. And there was a lot of curiosity. There was a lot of criticism. There was a lot of intrigue into what this stage was going to be because it was not the normal Champs-Élysées parade route, congratulations type of stage. So let's talk about it. And let's start with headlines like we do every single day of this tour. And we got a new course to end the tour. We had a couple things going here. A new course. We had rain. And we had a neutralization. All things that I would say normally derail a stage. But in this instance, I think it actually helped. Start with the neutralization. They decided to neutralize the times going into the 4 laps of the circuit, which was the circuit what they used in the Olympics for the road race last year. And I think it worked. And here's why, because if you want to race and you want to risk your legs, if you want to risk your body for the stage win, you can do it. And if you don't, it's stage 21, you made it this far, you're not penalized for it. Teams need to try for a stage win. They need to try to get some glory. They need to try and get on TV. Why not give you the opportunity without penalizing the riders in the back who have made it all the way here to this borderline ceremonial stage? But if it's ceremonial, then there should be really no penalty for not risking your life on this stage that is somewhat inconsequential, although it is a race. So the neutralization happens, and we have some riders that just totally sit up, they cruise, and we have the riders who want to race for the win, race for the win. I think that's a perfect give and take. We saw it. It gave us some fun racing, and we could kind of say, like, yeah, they got in it. Go race. Go hammer each other in a friendly competition way. And those who don't, we'll see at the finish line. We'll applaud you too. I oddly thought it worked. Now, factor in the rain too. Makes for an easy decision to neutralize the race. And I got a little nervous when it started raining. I'm surprised we didn't see anything close to an incident with the rain, because just from the camera and the footage of it, that stage looked really, really slippery, especially those cobblestones. And there was a couple corners where, like, you know they're taking it easy on there. And they leaned it over just enough where there was just as far as the bike will go before it starts slipping out. And I didn't really even see any close calls, any like little skids. I didn't see any little brake checks. I didn't see anybody overshoot it. Very strange that this was the stage that nobody really had an incident. So the new course, like, the good thing about the new course is, hey, something new, something exciting, something for the racers to compete on. What's the negatives of it? Maybe we don't get the procession element of it. But we sort of had that anyway at the beginning of this stage through the neutral where they all took the pictures. And like, by the way, like how many different combinations of pictures can you do? Because I think there's no short of like 1,200 different combinations. You got, hey, everybody, let's get all the jerseys. It's kind of like a graduation ceremony. Like, hey, everybody, let's get all the jerseys up front. Come on up. Let's take the picture. While you're on the bike, by the way. Okay, got it. Now let's get all the teammates. Let's get all the teammates. Get the team car in there. There you go, UAE. We got them all in there. All right, hey, let's get everybody from Italy in there. All right, get in there, everybody from Italy. It's bonkers, all the different versions that we have to get pictures of. Let's all do the arms around each other, no hands on the bike. Always freaks me out. So we still had that, but we just didn't have that iconic shot of the field coming out of the tunnel into the Champs-Élysées with the team leading the tour, leading the way. We didn't get a procession of, the team cars, the bikes, the sunshine in it. It was different. We didn't get the Eiffel Tower. So that would be some criticism to it. But maybe there's a happy medium. Maybe there's a trade-off type of situation. And in the future, maybe there is no neutralization of this final stage. So the new course was hot on our minds. I think it worked. In this situation, in today's race, I think it worked. Next headline, how about this? What was your best moment of the tour? Go back through the full 3 weeks. And what was your, I got to wake up to watch this stage. I am fully invested in this tour. So for me, if I were to pick a moment, I would say that moment in the tour when Ben Healy got the jersey and then defended it that one day. I think that was the tour's height because we knew it was only a matter of time between Pogačar taking this jersey and taking the race on. But this was before all that happened, and we got to ask ourselves, how long can Ben Healy keep the jersey? What a great story. He went out in the break, and he got it. And here comes the stage where he can try and keep it, and he did. It was very reminiscent of that Alaphilippe in the Jersey year where all of a sudden he's hanging in the climbs longer than anybody expected. He's winning a time trial that nobody expected. And you're like, okay, he is making a splash. And I thought Ben Healy was our splash of the tour. It was a great story, and I would have liked him to hang on to it maybe one extra day just to surprise us. But I thought that was a great turning point in the tour right before Pogačar took the tour on as his own. Another great moment in the tour, now that it's over, looking at the race overall, is how about tour revelations that we had this year? I had Oscar Only and Florian Lipowitz as the young rider revelations. Two guys that are up and coming, like we talk about Jonas and Pogačar and Remco being somewhat young. They're in their mid-20s now. So they're quickly becoming the face of racing, the seniors, the upperclassmen of racing, if you will. Look at the Roglic's are kind of moving out. And now this is their sport to take on, to steer. And now look at the young guys coming up. These two were the tour revelation. I hope they bank on this momentum and keep going because we could have a great battle. And I'm starting to see the new generation come up. They fought so well in this tour. We got to hear their names. We got to learn their backstories. And that was an excellent part of the stage where we didn't know these names before. The other thing that I would call as a tour revelation is how about just the fact that racing has changed? Racing is no longer wait for the mountains. Racing is on from the gun. Credit the tour organizers as far as stage setup for this, but also let's credit Pogačar as a rider being so aggressive in stages, being so competitive. Even today, he's like, I'm going to try to win this thing. I'm going to go make the race. I'm going to follow all the wheels. And he basically went as deep as he could go to follow Van Aert up that one climb until he got dropped. And he goes back to the group. He was not sandbagging. He was not soft pedaling. If he would have kept up with Wout Van Aert, he would have tried to win. So credit to racing changing. Racing being on from the gun. Credit the Tour itself for setting up a race that is exciting from stage one. Also, last revelation, how about alternative tactics when it comes to racing, when it comes to breakaways? We saw that a lot, getting into breakaways every day for not only for King of the Mountain points, but also for sprint points and for stage wins. The tactics have changed somewhat in breakaway composition. And also, I think we need to start thinking of alternative tactics when it comes to GC, because the tactic of beating your rival by isolating them is no longer a really viable tactic. Riders are too strong for that. We've talked about so much how nutrition and training has changed so much that these riders basically can go hard every single day. There was a few riders that do have that cracking moment in that third week of the Tour. But by and large, take our top 3 or 4 riders. We had Pogačar, Jonas, Oscar Only, Florian Lipowitz, even Kevin Vogelon. Nobody from week 1 to the end of week 3 had that cracking moment where they lost a bunch of time. The tactics are such that like the bodies can be ready every single day. Racing has changed for the better. It's exciting. The one stalemate stage we had was that one climb where Pogačar just kind of follows Jonas's wheel. He tries to attack. That was the closest thing to a stalemate we had, whereas years past, we had like 3 of those stages back in the day when a rider was solidly in yellow and second place would kind of follow him around, or yellow would follow second place around. That happened on multiple stages. This year, it was one stage, and I said that was still a pretty exciting stage. Jonas could have won that stage if he just timed his attack differently instead of Arnsman winning that stage to it. So tactics, new tactics. And I wonder how the GC tactics play out in the next coming years, because thought needs to be brought in to how to take down the mighty Pogačar. I've heard a lot of talk about Jonas refocusing why don't you try for the Giro? Why don't you try for the Vuelta? Why didn't your tactic be, why don't you try and avoid Pogačar? Why don't you make the most out of a career while you have your peak fitness? And I think there's pros and cons to that strategy. That was headlines for the Tour, but let's move on to the USA report, because this was a special year for the USA. We had 5 riders in the Tour, and all 5 finished the race. I think that's a special moment. All 5 had their day in the sun, too. At one point during this race, Jorgensen and Sepp Kuss on Visma had many great supportive days. Jorgensen had a couple of close calls with almost pulling off a win here and there, especially early in the race. Neilson Powless was active in a lot of breakaways early. He was a big help to Ben Healy when he was in the jersey. Will Barta had his day in a breakaway. And then Quinn Simmons is, of course, too. We know all about him. So let's go through it. We got Matteo Jorgensen today helps in the deciding break today, which was pivotal in getting Wout van Aert that win. He was in a lot of breaks this Tour alone, and he was that secondary GC threat in that first week of the race. He had a couple of tough days where he lost time on crucial mountain stages, but credit the man. Credit the man came in with a ton of pressure, had to refocus his efforts and his goals halfway through this race. And look at today, a stage that was rainy, very reminiscent of his Paris-Nice win a couple years ago, where that last stage is in the rain and he has to fight on wet roads, and he was up to the challenge, where there was a couple points in the race today where it was either going to be him or Wout that were going to be for the win of the stage. A couple of attacks from Jorgensen. There was one where he got off the front with somebody, and our minds just started racing. Like, could this be? Could this be the Jorgensen day, a USA win on the final stage? I mean, it kind of jinxed itself when Peacock cut to a shot of Jorgensen's parents on the side of the road, and you're like, oh no, he's going to lose it. They showed the parents. Stop thinking like he's going to win. It's too far. It's too far. But He's brought back, setting up the Wout attack up the cobbles to ultimately go in solo. Jorgensen, huge helping day today. Sepp Kuss finished safely in the bunch today. He was a big help in the mountains. Nielsen Palace was in it today, finished 15th. Will Barta in the group, chilling. He was 80th. Quinn Simmons, 125th. Made a try for it early, and it went back to the group. Okay, we need to spend a little time on Quinn Simmons. So let's think about this. When it comes to talk about future USA racers in the Pro Peloton, in the World Tour, definitely he made a name for himself this tour. Talking to a lot of my cycling friends, seems like a lot of people are split on their Quinn Simmons fandom. Is it that he's this brash, looks very different than a normal cyclist? Is it the USA thing? Is it that he's somewhat outspoken? I did some deep diving on Quinn Simmons controversies over the years, and I have to say, very, very loose use of the word controversy, a little bit of stretch when it comes to using the word controversy. He had a controversy, or let's say an online dust-up, more so, with Justin Williams, a USA racer here in the States, a couple of years ago, making some claims that Quinn Simmons said racist things to him. I didn't see anything like that. There was the tweet from a couple years ago where he tweeted a dark emoji hand, which is funny. This is where we've come when it comes to racism now. Is you tweeted the wrong color hand. No one can tweet an emoji hand other than the color that is you. Maybe that's some of the defining factor with Quinn Simmons. He's an aggressive rider. Some comments, post-race interviews where he was frustrated clearly. But maybe this is the secret sauce when it comes to rider popularity is, can you split the audience? Can you be the right amount of heel and the right amount of hero? But the story today is not, are you a fan of Quinn Simmons or should he have tried for the breakaway? He proposes on the finish line, on the Champs-Élysées. He gets down on the knee in his full kit, presents the ring. His girlfriend accepts and then jumps into his arms. He lifts her up, and for a moment, she's wearing some shorts. We almost get to see her ass, which would have been pretty huge for a Peacock. I mean, we need something here. So, let's not forget, too, how about Quinn Simmons lifting up a woman in his cycling shoes on cobbles? That needs to be stated somewhat, too. So we have the proposal. I want to know where he kept the ring. Like, was that ring in his pocket the whole time? And if not, who's holding the ring for him while he finishes? So then we go to the Steve Perino interview where he goes, Quinn Simmons, he proposed and she said yes, and take us through that. And then Quinn Simmons says, like, that was my goal for the whole year is, number one, make the tour team so that I could propose on the Champs-Élysées. And secondly, I have to finish the tour to make this happen. So that was my goal in October. I wanted to make the tour team so I can propose. And Steve Perino, in all his interviewing genius, goes, so you had it planned since then? Microphone right back to Quinn Simmons. And he goes, yeah, I did. Back to Steve Perino goes full Huelhauser on Quinn Simmons. I planned to propose since October. So you planned to propose since October? Yeah, I did. Terrible, Steve. You couldn't think of any question other than that. How about where'd you keep the ring? How about were you nervous when you proposed to her? How'd you lift someone up in your cycling shoes? Completely bonkers interview from Steve Perino. So you planned it since October? Yes, I did. And lastly, how about this when it comes to proposing to your girlfriend at the end of a 3-week race on the Champs-Élysées? Are any of the other riders who had their girlfriends come to the Champs-Élysées pissed off that you did that? Because we saw a shot of Pogačar and his girlfriend sitting, getting pictures taken, have a nice little kiss. Any of the girlfriends go like, hey, motherfucker, where's my ring? We've been together longer than them. This is a great place to propose. Why are you going to propose to me? What am I just here just to be on your arm so we can drink champagne and I can be in the pictures? I want a ring too. I wonder if other riders get mad at that. Hey, Quinn Simmons, way to ruin my tour party that night. We go through 3 weeks and now I got my old lady on my arm saying like, oh, where's I don't get a ring? You finish the tour and it's just like, let's go to dinner? That should be discussed. But how about this? Looking at the results, I mentioned that there is an award given for best teammate, and they did it by weeks. And for week 3, Quinn Simmons got best teammate. So throw a little sugar on top of a successful tour for Quinn Simmons, getting best teammate. What a crazy way to end the tours. Propose to your girlfriend on the Champs-Elysees in the USA kit. I hope there's some great pictures get taken. Need to be hung on the wall for the new Simmons family. That was a great moment. Reminded me of a little bit of, if you go way back to the Boise State Oklahoma bowl game from 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, where Boise State upsets Oklahoma and the running back proposes to his cheerleader girlfriend on the field. What a moment that was. Beautiful. I got to tell you that you can get yourself, you can split on Quinn Simmons like or dislike. I loved it. I thought that was good intrigue. We almost saw some ass. We saw someone lift up a woman in cycling shoes. And then we have a ridiculous interview from Steve Perino. What a moment. What a way to end USA. Quinn Simmons gave us so much in the tour. And wait, we're not done. I'm going to propose to my girlfriend on the cobblestones. Beautiful. I loved it for TV's sake. So let's go to winners and losers. I got 2 winners. How about neutralizing? Is this the first time ever that neutralizing can be looked at a positive? It usually means like, okay, the stage is kind of a nothing. But now I think it was the moment of the race where they were like, all right, no, don't risk it, Jonas. You're good. You guys want to race? Go race. But we're not going to penalize you on time. I thought it was a great moment, and we got a great race because of it. Next winner, how about Wout? Not only Wout winning the stage, but how about someone finally drops Pogačar? Pogačar was not soft pedaling. He tried to go with Wout. And Wout, that climb was not short either. The angle of the camera for the climb was just a straight on shot of Wout. We didn't really get an overhead. We didn't get too many overhead shots on this course. But it was just a straight on shot of Wout hammering as hard as he could go, looking for the smoothest line on those cobbles. And Wout trying as hard as and Pogačar trying as hard as he could to keep that wheel. And after 3 weeks of racing, nobody has dropped Pogačar until today. And it was Wout. We finally got to see Pogačar actually not hold the wheel. So for that, Wout gets a winner of the day. And specifically, Wout dropping Pogačar is a winner of the day. So those are my 2 winners, but we also have some losers. Talking losers of the day. I don't know if you can call this a loser, but it's definitely a negative. How about Geraint Thomas not getting his send-off as a retiring rider? If he did, I didn't see it on the broadcast, but he didn't get that moment where he could have led the peloton for one lap around as I think it was a 16-year career, a former tour winner, a class act in the peloton, one of the great elder statesmen, one of the great representatives of modern cycling. Didn't get that moment, at least not in the final of the race. That was the only bummer of this new course, was not being able to structure it in a way to get a send-off for Geraint Thomas. Again, not a loser, just a negative in the stage today. Would have liked to have seen that. Okay, other losers. This one's a weird one too. How about Astana's Ballerini and Bahrain Matej Mohoric sprinting for second and third like their life depended on it? And that's because their 2 teams, Bahrain and Astana, desperately need UCI points. So here is an interesting fact of the race. You get UCI points based off your finish, and not just first, second, and third, but you get like 10 deep, 15 deep. So you have to race. If you're these smaller tier teams, you need to get UCI points for the following year. You need to rack up. So that means you have to sprint. So this is the equivalent in the pro Peloton to garbage time in the NBA and NFL, where you just try and pad your stats when the game is out of reach. So I'm giving that a loser of the day in the fact that they have to do that. They have to sprint for second or third. They would have sprinted for seventh if that was the situation of the race. They need the UCI points. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing yet, but net negative when you're like, all right, we still got to get points. Or the team managers in the cars like, guys, you still got to sprint. We need UCI points. We might all be out of a job in the next 6 months if we are not World Tour teams for next year. So that, I think, gets a loser of the day. Next loser of the day, this one too I had to think about, but Jonas Vingegaard finished the stage today in the group, all fine, but he wore the polka dot jersey today, not because he's leading the polka dot race, the points for polka dot, but because he is second place in the running for polka dots. Tadej Pogačar is leading the polka dots, so he has the yellow jersey, but someone has to wear the polka dot jersey. So therefore it goes to whoever is second place in that race, which is Jonas. The reason I call it the loser of the day is I just think it's embarrassing to wear a jersey that is another man's. It's kind of like Pogačar's like, oh, I already have too many jerseys. Yeah, so why don't you wear my little polka dot jersey, bitch, and parade around in it? I never liked that. I know somebody has to wear the jersey, but I just think if I'm putting that jersey on and you're Jonas, you're like, oh, God damn it. Why do I got to wear the polka dot? I'm not even leading this race. Can we do something with the jerseys in the future where if you're holding more than one, we can just kind of do a half and half, like a pizza, like a half sausage, half pepperoni, and just both can be shown? I just feel like that's a weird one. That's like dancing with another man's wife. It's just unnatural. And I don't think the riders like it, especially not to finish the tour that way. That's my losers of the day. Don't dance with another man's wife. That brings us to the media GC of the day. I've been ranking every single YouTube show that I watch for my tour information and seeing what their views were for the day before. So let's talk The Move. Kind of, I would guess if I rank them, that's sort of my number one. Number one, it comes on earliest, so we just instantly go to tour reactions with big names. Although they didn't bring in any big outside names this year. Like sometimes they'll zoom in Cavendish or they'll zoom in a rider in the tour. I didn't see too many of those. A couple team directors zoomed in, but they didn't get that one get this year. Like how big would it be if they got a Jorgensen to zoom in, or how big would it be if they got if they got Quinn Simmons to zoom in? Like that would have been huge. There was not the big get, and I would think if there's any show that's going to get them, that's the celebrity status. One where like, oh, The Move wants to have me. Didn't get that. That being said, they did a great job by adding Spencer Martin this year. I asked earlier, like, what happened to JB this year? I think JB's at the bottom of a river somewhere. They added Spencer Martin, who usually doesn't come in on The Move. He does his outcome show and a very analytical mind. And what I liked about him is that he wasn't a fanboy on that table. He would give pushback when pushback was necessary, questioning why a breakaway went this way when George Hincapie would say, like, no, they do this. Like, what? Wait, hold on, George. You would say, like, it was very good criticism. He had a nice wrinkle to it. So The Move is my podcast I listen to probably first off in the lineup. Then I listen to Lanterne Rouge, very close second. And in The Butterfly Effect with Chris Horner, gets uploaded the latest. Something gets uploaded really late. It's like uploaded like 9 or 10 o'clock where I am. So let's go through the viewership. This is the final stage. Viewership for my 3 YouTube shows that I watch. We got The Move for stage 20, 33,000 views. Lanterne Rouge, 13K. Big loser, the Lanterne Rouge for stage 20. Not a lot of views. And The Butterfly Effect, 38K. So we have a switch in the battle for the belt. The Butterfly Effect takes the belt takes the belt for the final Media GC. Views consistently were dropping this last week. I think everybody felt the tour had been consolidated. I wonder if the Butterfly Effect won this episode's battle because the headline was, in all caps, horrible to abandon your leader. I think it was a horrible stage to abandon your leader. I wonder if that's what gained the views, because at 38K to 33, that's a big win for the Butterfly Effect. And look at the views though. Like, the move was usually around that 50 to 55K. The Butterfly Effect was usually hovering around that low 50K, and the Lanterne Rouge is usually around 20 to 25K. They're all down this last week of the tour. I wonder if the tour is more exciting, or there was a controversy if we would have saw consistent viewership through. So we didn't have that controversy in this tour. We didn't have a war. We didn't have Remco saying they didn't have big balls this year, where we just had a story for 24 hours. We didn't have a controversy. We didn't have a real GC battle. Maybe that was it too. Although, would you say this tour was not exciting anyway? No way. This tour was completely exciting. But viewership outside of the cycling base, I wonder, I wouldn't say drew in new fans this year. I could be wrong about that. If you feel differently, I'd love to hear it. I think this was a great tour for the purist. It really was. If you like cycling, if you followed it, you loved it. If you were looking to be garnered in, I don't know if this tour had that to draw in non-cycling fans in the US. I could be wrong. Last note about the Lanterne Rouge. For today's stage, it's usually a two-man team, but today was a solo. Their one co-host, Benji, took the whole episode on today, and he did great today. A solo episode is tough to do. You're looking at notes. You're trying to make it sound conversational. You're trying to make it sound like you're in the moment. And he was really great with it. They did an excellent job. I love that show as the new generation of media representing cycling, not only as a younger generation, but as a generation that is not necessarily a former pro. I think we get wrapped up in former pros too much, and we think they're going to be good analytical minds and speakers. Not always the case. And this is an example of the opposite. These are great fans of the sport. They're analytical minds. They want to represent the sport critically and objectively, and they do a great job with it. And you can tell these two are friends. That comes across in there. Actually, what's great about the move too is you can tell the relationship of the Lance, the Bradley Wiggins, the Hincapie comes through in a funny, comical way. Everything has its place. And of course, the move is doing their recaps of the ladies tour, which started on Saturday as well, which has been really good. Well, everybody, it pains me to say the tour's over, although I'm ready for it to be over. That was a great race. We have to think about what we're going to do now with the rest of our summers when it comes to sports. But by and large, I love the tour. It gets me not only motivated to go ride my bike myself, to look at maybe I want to do longer rides. Maybe I haven't done a ride or event or a race in a long time. Maybe I want to do one. Maybe I want to travel somewhere and ride a course similar to this or a course like this to it. That's what the tour does for me. And it also makes me motivated to dive into the sport some more. Where do these riders go after the race? Is Quinn Simmons going to get invited to those post-tour exhibition races where they make a bunch of money? just in a sense of like pro wrestling of cycling, where they all kind of ride around together in their jerseys. What's the plan for our two young riders, Lipowitz and Oscar Only? Oscar Only should get a sponsorship from OnlyFans, and he can be Oscar OnlyFans. Put the little sticker on his helmet, or maybe get an OnlyFans helmet like the Red Bull riders have. And what's the plan for Jonas and Pogačar for the rest of the year? What's the Vuelta plan? Are they going to race it? And if Jonas races it, can he win it? If Roglic is like, we still got a Grand Tour to go with the Vuelta. We got World Championships after that, so we get to take a little break and then reboot for the rest of the cycling season. This is what's great about racing, is the organization that it takes to put on this race, the training it takes for the riders to arrive at the event in shape. And then lastly, just the logistics of it from a team base. Like, can they have bikes? Can they have hotels? Can they have food? Can they have team trucks? Can we pull off this great event? And the Tour has done it every single year. Viva la Tour. It was great. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Even though I'm sad that this is my last show for the tour, more's coming. We're going to reboot. I got other shows on this channel. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for indulging me through my little tour recaps. Thank you for my co-host for a couple episodes, Gravel Dan. If you like my show, if you like my content, give it a like, give it a subscribe, because all my stuff is up there, whether you like stand-up comedy, cycling videos, if you like an interview series with other comedians, my movie series. It's everything I do goes up. I appreciate the new listeners. So everybody, go ride your bike, have fun. Hooray for sport. Hooray for USA. Congratulations, Tadej Pogačar. The cycling season is not over. I will be back. And you will too. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your summer, and I will see you very soon.